Hi, everyone. This is Amy with Campus Integrity Group. We are your trusted ally in creating safer K through 12 school communities. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of student bystanders, basically peers who witness or suspect inappropriate behavior. So student bystanders come in a few different forms. One is an eyewitness, somebody who directly saw the misconduct take place, an outcry witness, who is the first person that the student victim told about the misconduct, a random student, basically somebody who may or may not have been in the vicinity of the alleged misconduct, somebody worth talking to, perhaps they did see or hear something about that misconduct or during that incident of the misconduct. And then a third party witness is basically somebody who heard from somebody that the misconduct occurred. So they did not see it, they were not necessarily present for it, but they just heard about it happening. Right now, the general current practice in schools is to focus on the policies, so whether or not a policy violation occurred, to interview the victim and staff member, the two main parties involved, to talk about or go over the types of consequences that they would like to instill. It could be nothing, it could result all the way in termination, and then interventions. So things such as advising the student victim to speak with a counselor or having them trade classrooms so that they can participate with a different staff member. The main missing resource, of course, as we've been talking about, is other students or student bystanders. Here are a couple examples of how interviewing other potential witnesses helps an investigation. This is a real world investigation. I'm not sure if I've discussed this before, but Amber and I led the sexual allegations unit for the Inspector General's office for the fourth largest public school system in the country. And so these cases actually come from our previous work with that unit. So this is an example again of a real world situation. A former CPS teacher groomed and assaulted 3 students. All 3 of them were under the age of 13 years old. 2 of them were brothers. The third one was their cousin. He was ultimately sentenced to 17 years in prison. And the witnesses were critical to this case. We talked to multiple students, multiple staff members, family members, community members. The outcry witness was the student's sister, who actually then reported it to their mother. Their mother reported it to the school. Our team conducted over 20 interviews. Again, student, staff, anybody else who potentially had any involvement or witnessed any type of misconduct on behalf of this student and staff member. And as it came to be from talking to other parties, the teacher actually engaged in physical and boundary crossing behaviors with other students at the school. He was hugging students inappropriately. He kissed a student on the lips. He was picking students up and spinning them around during gym class. Some of them asked that he did not do that anymore. He continued to do it anyways. So again, speaking to other people who may or may not have witnessed it, but perhaps they, had other information to report about this particular teacher that also led to us understanding the further inappropriate conduct that this staff member engaged in. So again, he went to trial and he was sentenced to 17 years in prison for assaulting these students. Here's another example. This one actually shows that there is systemic sexual misconduct within some schools, meaning there are multiple cases of sexual misconduct, several that go unreported for quite some time and still until we started speaking to witnesses. This one involved 2 staff members who were alleged to have been engaged in sexual abuse of students. This was at a public school military academy. The investigation expanded very quickly. When we spoke to other students, there were additional allegations that were made against other staff members. There were graduate students who also made reports. There were anonymous reports entered through the unit's website. So the investigation got pretty big pretty fast and ended up examining allegations against 29 different staff members. Some of them were for grooming, some of them were failure to report because they are all mandated reporters. There were other policy violations such as inappropriate telephone communication, inappropriate social media conversations, and actual sexual abuse of students. 13 of those allegations were substantiated, meaning 13 of the allegations of the 29 individuals that we were investigating led to some sort of finding that did support the fact that the misconduct occurred. 6 of those staff members resigned, 3 were terminated, and the rest had to attend the mandating training. They received warnings, and a few of the staff members were suspended from their positions. So, knowing all of that and the importance of what these witnesses have to tell us and how much it can impact the investigation itself, how do we empower these K through 12 students to speak up? It's important that these students learn about reporting through education and not through fear. Students often stay silent out of, again, being afraid, being confused, or because they don't trust the adults around them. Also, and this is one of the worst case scenarios, they simply don't even know how to file a report. The importance of educating the students has to be age appropriate. So a kindergartner obviously will not understand the same conversation as will, say, a junior in high school, but the same topics still need to be discussed. They just need to be discussed in different ways. So the education needs to focus on what misconduct could look like, what behaviors are not always appropriate, reassurance that tattling is different from sharing information, that the entire school community focuses on shared responsibility, and it's very important to teach students that everyone plays a role in creating this safe environment. A lot of students think speaking up will mean public confrontation or putting themselves or someone else in harm's way, but that's not always the case. That's actually very rarely the case. There are multiple ways to take action. Students can talk to a trusted adult. It could be a staff member, it could be a teacher, it could be administration, a neighbor, a friend, a family member, anybody who they trust and who they think will help them through this process. Students can just check on their peer. So maybe go up to the student victim involved and just ask them if they're okay, ask them if they want you to assist them in filing a report, other things of that nature. Reports can be made anonymously through a form usually available on schools' websites. And then last, students can ask another adult to intervene. So for example, if there's a co-teacher in the classroom and the head teacher is making inappropriate comments about students' bodies, the co-teacher can be asked to please ask that teacher to stop making those comments. In response to a report filed by a student, the school is responsible for many things. They must take all reports seriously. It's not up to, say, a principal or a teacher to determine whether or not the allegation is serious enough to document the incident that occurred. They need to protect students from retaliation. Retaliation meaning, for example, a staff member who is being investigated decides to fail a student on her quiz simply because she made the allegation against that staff member, and that student otherwise would have received an A. They need to provide support for the students involved. So again, this could mean advising that the student speak to a counselor, or this could involve switching the student to another classroom so they don't have to have direct interaction with that staff member. And they need to make students understand that adults are safe allies. Staff members in the school are not just there for disciplinary purposes. They're not just there to give quizzes and to provide homework. They actually can be safe, trusted adults. There's also an option of scenario-based learning, basically turning peer role plays into prevention programs. So you could ask students such things as, how could you support a friend who confided in you? What could you say if you hear someone making an inappropriate comment? What would you do if? Bystander empowerment is prevention. By teaching students that it is okay to make a report and that they can't trust the people whom they're reporting to is one of the greatest means of prevention within a school community. Empowering these student bystanders is so effective in reducing harms in schools. When students know what to do and when they feel safe doing it, and they can trust the adults around them, there's a shift in culture. Schools become more respectful, more responsive, and ultimately, schools become safer for everyone. Again, this is Amy from Campus Integrity Group. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to email us at info@campusintegritygroup.com. You can also check out our website at www.campusintegritygroup.com, or you can give us a call at 312-442-0665. Thanks for listening and have a good day.